Guys, welcome back. And to all my new subscribers, again, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining. Hope you enjoy it. To everybody else who's viewed and hasn't subscribed, down below, come on. Or if you see a wolf over in the corner, he doesn't bite, click on him. Okay, so I'm going to change things up a little bit here, guys. Going right into serial killers now. There are so many of them there. Let's get into it. Let's go. Serial killer Rodney James Alcala murdered at least 9 women and girls across the United States in the 1970s. Though his true death toll could number more than 100. He spent time in prison for sexual assault and other crimes in the 1970s, but continued to rape and kill when he was free. Autopsies of some of the victims revealed he would strangle women, then wait for them to regain consciousness before the final kill. Alcala also sometimes arranged the corpses of women he'd murdered in poses. In 2010, photos taken by Alcala decades earlier were made public to try to identify other victims. He has been behind bars since his July 1979 arrest for the abduction and murder of a 12-year-old girl. Alcala was sentenced to death in California, but died of natural causes in 2021. Alcala was born in San Antonio, Texas on August 23, 1943. He moved to Mexico with his family when he was around 8 years old, and his father abandoned the family while they were in Mexico. Alcala and his siblings and mother later relocated to Los Angeles. At age 17, Alcala joined the Army. He was discharged in 1964 after suffering a breakdown and being diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder. He attended California State University, then transferred to UCLA. He graduated with fine arts degree in 1968. After fleeing California that year, Alcala used his John Berger alias to enroll in New York University, where he took a class with Roman Polanski. After fleeing the scene of his 1968 attack on an 8-year-old Tali Shapiro, Alcala traveled to the East Coast. In 1971, he was included on the FBI's Most Wanted list. Some girls at an art camp in New Hampshire recognized their counselor, who was using the name John Berger from this list. They told the camp's dean, and Alcala was soon arrested, though he was able to plead to a lesser charge of child molestation and served just 34 months. Though he was a registered sex offender, Alcala managed to land a job with the Los Angeles Times as a typesetter in September of 1977. His past convictions for sexual assault promoted California police to interview Alcala. In March 1978, as a potential suspect in the Hillside Strangler killers, another set of serial murders that occurred in California in the 1970s. Alcala was cleared of those crimes, and police did not realize that they had actually spoke with a different serial killer. Okay, the dating game. All right. For those of you who don't know what the dating game is, it was a TV series, a game show kind of thing, where there'd be one beautiful young bachelorette and three handsome or good looking, whatever. I'm a guy. I don't look at guys that way. But three handsome young bachelors, all single. Well, there would be a supporting wall between the bachelorette and the three bachelors. So she can't see these guys. But what she would have to do is she would have to ask them questions. Now, it could be a funny question or it could be a personal question. But she only had a certain amount of time to ask all these questions to these three bachelors. Now, they didn't have to go 1, 2, and 3, all in order like that. She could jump around and ask whatever bachelor or whatever question she wanted. So now we're getting into the dating game, and this clown here got a date from the dating game. Let's get into it. In September 1978, Alcala appeared as Bachelor number 1 on the dating game, a TV show that men and women cheekily interview prospective dates, sight unseen, like I mentioned already, guys. At the time, he was a convicted child molester, but the show did not run a background check. Alcala was introduced as a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the dark room at the age of 13, fully developed. When asked by Cheryl Bradshaw, his prospective date, to describe what kind of meal he'd be, he answered, "I'm called the banana, and I look really good. Peel me." Well, we already know that Rodney Alcala was a charming guy, and he could really turn the charm on if he wanted to. So Alcala used his charm. He won him a date with Bradshaw. However, when they met face to face, she felt he was acting really creepy and opted not to go out with him. This one here, guys, the dating game killer, Rodney Alcala. It's probably one of the last photos you'll ever find of him before he actually died in prison. Natural causes. They didn't get a chance to execute this guy. So yeah, that's him in the courtroom. Alcala was a tall, good-looking man who often told women he was a fashion photographer who wanted to take photos for a contest. His intelligence and charm could make him very persuasive. A woman who missed a date with Alcala because he'd been arrested in 1979 later told people he was so easy to trust. He had a way of talking to people that really put them at ease. In the 1970s, Alcala killed Cornelia Crilly, age 23, and Alan Hover, age 23, both residents of New York City. Crilly was raped and strangled with her own stockings in her own apartment. In June 1971, Hoover disappeared on July 15, 1977, leaving behind a calendar that stated she was meeting with John Berger. Her remains were discovered in New York's Westchester County in 1978. Alcala pleaded guilty to these murders in 2012. He received a sentence of 25 to life, though it would only be served if California releases him from custody. Alcala was arrested in July 1979 for the abduction and murder of 12-year-old Robin Samso of Huntington Beach, California. He was convicted on these charges in 1980. 4 years later, this conviction was overturned as the jury had improperly been told about Alcala's criminal record. Another trial in 1986 resulted in a second guilty verdict. But in 2001, it was also overturned on a technicality. While in custody, Alcala wrote a book, You, the Jury, 1994, in which he argued he was innocent. And the grass is blue, right? Before Alcala was retried a third time for Samson's death, advances in the world of DNA and other crime scene analysts provided evidence tying him to more crimes. He had been forced to provide a DNA sample. At his next trial, which took place in 2010, Alcala again charged with killing Samso. Part of the case against him was a pair of gold earrings linked to Samso that had been found in his Seattle storage locker. Alcala played the clip from the dating game that he said proved he was already wearing gold earrings in 1878. But these didn't convince the jury. In addition, he faces charges for assaulting and strangling 4 women in California in the late 70s. "18-year-old Jill Barcombe, who was killed in November 1977. 27-year-old Georgia Wickstead, 27, who was raped, beaten, and strangled in December 1978. 32-year-old Charlotte Lamb, who was killed in June 1978, and 21-year-old Jill Tarantu, I guess that's how you pronounce it, sorry guys, who was killed in June 1979. Alcala opted to present himself during the court proceedings, and in February 2010, he was found guilty of all 5 murders. He was sentenced to death in March 2010. In 2016, Alcala was charged with the 1977 killing of Christine Ruth Thornton in Wyoming, though prosecutors opted not to extradite him to stay in trial. Authorities also believe He killed Pamela Lamson in San Francisco Bay in the fall of 1977. However, DNA collected on that crime was too degraded to test, so he was not charged with the crime. Some of Alcala victims survived his attacks. In 1968, a witness spotted Alcala driving off with Shapiro. Concerned, he followed them to an apartment and called the police. The responding officer discovered Shapiro, who had been raped and beaten with a steel bar, but was still alive. In February 1979, Monica Hoyt, then 15, managed to escape after Alcala raped her. Rodney Alcala's exact death toll is unknown. Some authorities believe he murdered around 50 people. Others think he may have taken as many as 130 lives. Here you go, guys. The dating game killer. How many lives did he take? How many young girls did he rape and then kill? We'll never know. He was sentenced to death, but he got lucky. He died of natural causes before that time came up. If you like this, guys, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. If you want to comment, make sure it's a decent comment, because anything nasty won't go through. Definitely subscribe. Get on that subscribe button. Help out the channel. Alright? Till next time, guys. Oh, and all the subscribers I got, thank you very, very much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Really do. I'm going to get working on another one for you.